So now let's talk about how agency owners and consultants use this system to repeatedly access 100K plus. So what this actually does for you is that this isn't just about getting funded. It's about removing the cash flow bottleneck that is slowing your growth. So instead of delaying hires, scaling ads cautiously, and passing on opportunities, now you're able to move faster on what's already working, smooth out inconsistent months, and take on more volume without stressing cash flow. Okay. Most clients don't just use this once. Okay. They use it to scale ad spend without second guessing every dollar, hire ahead of demand instead of reacting late. And that's what's happening if you don't have funding. Because now you have to make more sales that you can only hire because you have to use the funding or pull from your cash reserves, and you're left with nothing in the bank, which sucks. Or, like I said, they're going to use it to handle fulfillment without worrying about cash timing. And what actually changes after this is that you stop making decisions based on, can I afford this? Can I afford this right now? But now you start making decisions based on, does this grow the business? So now you're operating out of groundedness. You're not operating out of scarcity. You're not operating out of just being anxious or nervous. You're acting out of groundedness. You have real data. You can actually focus on what you need to do because you already have the capital set aside. Decisions are a lot smoother once you implement this system to your business. So instead of waiting for cash to come in, juggling expenses, or playing it safe, now you're operating with speed, stability, and margin for error. So if you need to make mistakes, you're good. Okay. And businesses is taking risk and getting data. And that's going to come with taking risk, making mistakes, and then figuring out what works. But if you don't have funding to do that, you can't scale and be confident within yourself. So the real ROI isn't just the capital, it's how differently you're able to operate once you have it. And no, this does not mean that you go spend recklessly. It just means you finally have control over timing and decisions. What you're probably dealing with right now. I totally get it. You're agency owner, you're consultant, you're doing 30K a month, you got a couple of VAs, you're running ads, you're taking on some clients here and there. You're doing pretty well in the business. You're profitable, but it just still feels tight. You got opportunities, but it's not enough liquid capital to fully execute. And you're relying heavily on cash flow, which creates pressure every month. So I understand you got profit margins, and the profit that you do take, it may not be a lot, or it's got to go towards other things. And if you're running a business where if you're using all cash reserves, right, you're not really making any profit in the business, right? You've already tried to get funding before and you got denied. Maybe you got low limits like the 2, 5K, 10K limits. Maybe you got hit with that 2K limit from Amex, right? I've heard a lot of people talk about that, or it just didn't help much. So now it starts to feel like maybe I just need to make more first. Right now you have these thoughts. Maybe my income is just too inconsistent. Maybe funding isn't just built for businesses like mine, and that's like the worst mindset that you could possibly have. Here's the reality though. You're already at the level where funding is normal. You're just not structured for it yet. And if you're wondering, does revenue inconsistency kill approvals? Not by itself. Let me explain why. It's literally how everything is structured together, and that is what actually matters. So if your revenue is inconsistent, that alone is not going to cause you to not get funding. You can still get funding without showing financials. It definitely helps you to get higher limits, but that's not the only thing that causes you. You are just not structured altogether, and that's why you're not getting the funding. Right. So when we talk about the implementation setup again, right? Phase one, that's the discovery phase, right? That's whenever we hop on the discovery call. You do a business audit, we discuss any bottlenecks, and we strategize a game plan based off your unique situation and not one size fits all. You're not getting just a generic plan, and this is literally based on your revenue flow, your business model, and how you actually plan to use the capital. Okay. Most agency owners, most consultants, they're gonna ask, is this going to be the same plan you give everyone? And I'm telling you, this is not, because what gets one agency 100K can't get another denied if applied the same way. We've seen this. Okay, we have data on this, and we know this because we know what banks are actually looking for. And then one size does not fit all for every funny thing. Okay, phase two, that's gonna be the onboarding and strategy introduction. That's gonna be day one, right? So that's where we're gonna fill out the onboarding form, the credit and business reports. That's gonna, if we need your secondary B reports, you're gonna get access to your client portal and extra training and resources that's gonna help you maintain the systems, and just more resources to help you have a smoother process throughout the entire program. And you're gonna get access to your private Slack channel 24/7. This is exactly where we're going to identify what's helping you, what's hurting you, and what needs to be fixed before we apply. And this is where most agency owners and consultants realize why they were getting denied for. This is like the magic pill, right? It's exactly the self-realization, literally everything why you realize why you were getting denied. And it's usually not what you thought. Okay, it's actually totally something different. Like I said, when we come inside the program, we're gonna figure that out. And then that's what leads us to phase three when we install the systems, because we're, like I said, we already know what's gonna happen. You realize it. Now we're gonna implement the systems from day 3 to 30. So that's when we're gonna have the first onboarding call, right? Credit profile optimization. So that's where we're gonna optimize your credit, optimize your business structure based off your industry, then give you a banking sequence analysis based off your needs and location. Okay. We see this a lot too. And banks are looking at, right? Location does definitely matter. If your business is located in an area that makes low income, or businesses in that area were going bankrupt or defaulting or just low income, that area could cause you to get denied, right? Versus somebody else that could be in the same industry as you, but in a different state with a better industry with a better location. Okay, you might need to make some changes. Okay, but it's all going to be depend on your needs and your location, and that's why one size strategy does not fit everybody. It's tailored towards your specific needs. Okay, this is the most important phase because this is exactly what changes, exactly how banks see you, how much you can get approved for, and how consistent these approvals are. And to answer a common question I hear a lot too, no, this is about making things perfect. This is not about making things perfect. It's about making them aligned. Okay. Alignment is what gets you funding, not being perfect, not having the perfect credit score, not having the perfect revenue. Like it's what is aligned to what banks see as not a risk in your industry. That's how you're going to get denied. The phase four funding acquisition, this can start day 14. Typically takes about 2 weeks, but from days 14 to 60, that's when we're going to apply for the capital. You deploy it, and then we got to go multiple rounds if needed. So this isn't just apply and hope. It's apply at the right time in the right order with the right positioning. That is the system implementation that you're getting. You might ask too, how long is it until I actually see the funding? And this is where it typically starts to happen, right? These right here is not months or years down the line. It's going to be typically between the days 14, could be up to day 6, depending on, like say, your specific funding needs, how your profile is set up, and what changes that need to be made so you can get positioned for the funding. Now, what happens after you get the funding? Now you can freely access 100K after work with this because, like I say, your credit profile is optimized. You just have to maintain it, and we show you how your business structure is optimized because now it's accurate. Everything is consistent across all the bureaus. It's consistent at the state level, at the government level, at the banking level. Everything is consistent. And finally, right now you have banking relationships established. So if you want to get more funding, you can just increase your limits over time, or you can just apply again, whether that's yourself or just come with us so you have another great experience. But more importantly, here's what actually changes in your business. So now, after getting the funding, you can finally scale ads without wondering if cash flow will support it. You can hire when needed and not after you're already overwhelmed. You can take on larger opportunities without hesitation, and your growth stops being limited by timing, cash flow gaps, and short-term constraints. And it starts being driven by execution and opportunity. And no, you're not starting over every time you need capital. You now have relationships in a system that you can just literally reuse. That is the entire point of implementing a funding system so you repeatedly access 100K. Okay. So funding becomes a tool you control. It's not something that you chase because now you're positioned properly and you have the proper system to do it. So before the call, the final shift that you need to make right now, you probably feel like I know I need capital. I just haven't been able to access it the right way. What this shows you is this: you're not early, okay? You're not unqualified. You're not doing anything wrong. You just haven't been shown how to align your profile with how the banks actually work. And once that is fixed, you don't just get funding. You operate like a completely different business. So on the call, right? We're gonna be looking at where you are right now, what's been holding you back, what needs to be adjusted, and what you can realistically access once it's fixed. And if you're thinking, is this actually going to work for my situation? That's exactly what we're going to determine on the call. Okay, this is not some generic call; it's specific for your situation. So if you kind of been stuck in that cycle of knowing that you need funding, but not being able to access it the right way, this is where that changes. So that is exactly how you're going to repeatedly access 100K in funding. You're going to get optimized. You're going to get structured properly. Now you're going to have the systems so you can repeatedly access the funding. Okay, not because of you weren't perfect, but because everything is aligned and you have the right system that was geared towards your specific situation.